Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody, wherever you are, however you're listening to this. I just want to first off say I am glad you are here and I am glad you are listening, and thank you for your support. I want to start off by sharing something with you all that some of you may know, some of you may not know, and that is that I personally have been battling with a lot of mental health issues since I was a child. I've been diagnosed and diagnosed several times over, and a lot of it comes down to dealing with PTSD, bipolar 1, anxiety, and depression. Now, those are some pretty heavy hitters in that mental health world. Now, I understand that they are just labels, and everything can have a label. Medicine bottles have labels. My milk has a label. I can label anything, even the photos behind me. I can put labels on anything. So it means nothing in my book. That being said, I was put on a cocktail of medication, which, well, ironically created a little more trouble for me than I needed. So I made the choice, yes, I refuse to take medication from this point forward. I've learned that through Scripture. Anything can be healed. Now, I made the decision to come off medication on my own. I am no physician. I am no doctor. I am not telling anyone what to do. I will not do that. That is not who I am. I did this as my own choice, and it has made a difference in my world, and this is where I share on how it did that for me. First off, our brains are the informational highway. There's a lot going on up there. There is a super highway of information, and if you can imagine what that would look like, just picture everything moving at high rates of speed and then sometimes coming to a crashing traffic jam. And, well, that's how my thought process works, and I'm sure there's many of you out there that have similar thought processes, and I pray that you understand the difference in this. So one of the things I had to think about when I was going into this on how I'm going to, well, try to retrain my brain to have a healthier lifestyle and a healthier mindset going forward. And how do I, well, get rid of all that negative? It's not as easy as just going up and down the highway and filling potholes because, well, seasons change, and I live here in Maine, and one of the great things we have is we have frost heaves and potholes everywhere. And it's really difficult because you fill the pothole, next season it's right back in the same spot, and it's the same sin that's going to catch you up every time because you're just putting another cold patch in it. Instead of trying to rip up the highway, get down to the base of the gravel, and regrade the whole road from start to finish. Well, how do you do that with all the traffic flowing around you? Very, very easily. You give it to God. And through that, I learned that one of the things through my mental health evaluation and when I was going through the crisis units and was called cognitive behavioral therapy. It really stood out to me. And I was reading an article that 43% of people come off of medication by really using a lot of cognitive behavioral therapy. Now, for me, my cognitive behavioral therapy became Scripture and in writing and doing poetry and doing photography and all these other avenues where I could see God and see His beauty. Now, how do I use that in my mind and try to repave that road? Well, it's very easy. We build a road around the old road. Sometimes it takes a lot of work, but you know what? Some highways have to just be rebuilt from the ground up. I know I've traveled a lot of roads across this country, and I know a lot of them need to be rebuilt. Now, I have been working on myself for a very long time, and I'm not done yet, and I'm not going to be done until He calls me home. But I will be working on this mind for a very long time. And through cognitive behavioral therapy, one of the biggest things that you need to learn is that you need to have a good PMA, which is a positive mental attitude. Another thing that comes out of Scripture is having the right mindset going forward. Now, I do have some Scripture I would love to share with you all, as these are some of the top Scriptures that have really stood out to me, and I wanted to share why some of these have really stood out to me. And it starts off let me go back here to Isaiah. One of them, we'll go right through the book from the beginning to the end, and a few of them here. The first one was in Isaiah 1:5, and this is the Good News translation. Why do you keep rebelling? Why do you want to be punished even more? Israel, your head is already covered with wounds, and your heart and mind are sick. So right here in Isaiah, Isaiah was a prophet who could foresee the future, and a lot of it has come through. And one of the things that I see here is he's asking, why do you want to keep hurting yourself? Why do you keep tormenting your own mind? Why do you not put a positive mental attitude in there? Why do you not fill those voids with something better? Because right now your heart and your mind are sick. Because whatever the mind is thinking, the heart will follow. Whatever the heart does, the mind will follow. Our heart and our mind are connected. The problem is a lot of people think up here before they really react down here. And that becomes a headache for a lot of people. That's where anger, that's where the frustration, that's where a lot of that stuff comes from. Because we're constantly running with the high-speed traffic and the traffic jams that are going on in our head. Now, as we move on into Proverbs 3, 5, and 6, a lot of people know this one very, very well, and some know it by heart. Trust in the Lord with all of your heart, and do not depend on your own understanding. Seek God's will in all you do, and he will show you which path to take. Now, this is a New Living Translation, and one thing that really stands out to me in this is the semicolon. Now, the semicolon is a huge symbol for people that have tried to, for suicide awareness. Now, myself, I am a suicide survivor, and this semicolon stands out to me. Trust in the Lord with all of your heart. The pause, we're not done yet. Do not depend on your own understanding. Seek God's will in all you do, and he will show you which path to take. When we give to God, he will direct our thought process. He will tell us which road to go down. Now, it doesn't say that the path will be easy, but it does say he will show us which path to take. Now, as we move on into Romans 12:2, do not copy the behaviors and the customs of this world, but let God transform you into a new person by changing the way you think, and then you will learn God's will for you, which is good and pleasing and perfect. Once again, do not copy the behaviors and the customs of this world, but let God transform you into a new person by changing the way you think. Then you will learn God's will for you, which is good, pleasing, and perfect. Let God come in and retrain your brain. Let God be that cognitive behavioral therapy that you can stand on when God's will is for you. I mean, just think about how perfect it can be when you let God in to retrain your brain. Now, some of the other scriptures I have here are Philippians 4:8, and that's also a New Living Translation. Now, dear brothers and sisters, one final thing. Fix your thoughts on what is true and honorable and right, pure and lovely and admirable. Think about these things in excellence and are praiseworthy. Now, in some translations, the thinking about things that are excellent and worthy of praise, it refers to meditate or meditation. This is a form of cognitive behavioral therapy, is when we meditate on something that is good. So if we take our positive mental attitude and we meditate on it daily, which I do with Scripture. I meditate on Scripture daily, which helps me retrain my brain knowing God's got me, because I can go back to the other Scripture that says it will be excellent and It will be praiseworthy. It's going to be perfect in all ways because he's going to take me down that path. Now, here in Philippians, it stands out. It says one final thing. Fix your thoughts. So at the very least, when you have finally come to the end of you, fix your thoughts on what is true and honorable and right and pure and lovely and admirable, and then meditate on those things and the excellence of worthy of praise. The last one I have for you is 1 Peter 1:13, and this is a little different because this is coming from the English Standard Version. Therefore, prepare your minds for action, and being sober-minded, set your hope fully on the grace that will be brought to you at the revelation of Jesus Christ. Therefore, preparing your minds, therefore, train your brain and be of sober mind. That is a hard part for some people. This was the one that stood out to me, that said I needed to cut the medication out. I needed to be of sober mind to understand what God's true will was for me. Now, like I said before, I am no physician, I am no doctor, I do not want to be that guy responsible for anything like that for anyone's life. But I can tell you, after reading these scriptures and meditating on them daily, I made the decision to follow God daily. I picked up my cross and I go out and I search for the lost just as Jesus Christ did for me. He hung on that cross, and it says right here, the grace that will be brought to you in the revelation of Jesus Christ. So God gave me that gift of one more day, every day. It is up to me to stay of sober mind and to have a positive mental attitude and to be able to chase down the people that need to hear his gospel the most. Because I can tell you right now, God's pill, the gospel, is the best pill there is for any sort of mental health issue that you are going through right now. I pray that this message hits each and every one of you, and I pray that you all have a very, very wonderful day. God bless.